What is up, my friends? How are we? You are very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. As always, I'm here and keen to know your thoughts on the Reds' lack of activity really in this summer's transfer window. Tonight, I thought I'd kick us off with a question, and the opening poll is: if Bradley Barcola is Liverpool's last piece of transfer business in this summer's window, would you be happy with that? That's the jumping off point for conversations tonight. It's been a relatively quiet day all told, so there isn't too much earth-shattering news either way. We do have some insights around conversations with agents for players that are currently at the club that we'll talk about tonight. We'll ask the question, are Liverpool lagging behind fitness of others in pre-season? Well, Sky put up a graph that shows that they potentially are. But as always, this is about your show, so do let us know your thoughts, ladies and gents, and I'll do my best to get to them. I know I'm going to be asked 1,000 questions about Bradley Barcola again. You're just going to get the same answer, I'm afraid. I wish I had more concrete information at this point, but I think there's a bit of brinksmanship going on, especially around the Super Cup, and we'll talk about that as well. So look, for me, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to lay my cards on the table for you nice and early. I'm pretty angry at this point, not about the Barcola stuff. Nothing's changed there, and I believe he becomes a Liverpool player. But that's not enough. Like, it really isn't enough. Now, I'm open to somebody saying, Craig, they might be working on more things, and that's absolutely possible. But it's getting close now. There's 3 weeks to the day till the window shuts. And with the amount of business that Liverpool still have to get through, incomings and outgoings, I really do feel like we're gonna end up short in this window. And Donny Iraola isn't going to get what he needs for the season ahead. And that's my anger here. It's yet again another window that's going to go by us where we don't feel like we've done what we need to do. So as a fan, I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated with it because, you know, these guys are paid a lot of money and not much is happening. So that's the jumping off point for a chat tonight. Right, William, thank you, mate. Appreciate you. Appreciate your support, my man. Right, let's get in. Heard a rumour regarding Lewis Skelly. Not with Liverpool, Paul. At least not that I've seen, mate. I'd seen Lewis Skelly being linked with Manchester United and a few other clubs, but Chelsea, I think, actually as well, were the latest ones to maybe declare an interest in Lewis Skelly. But from my side of it, I've not seen anything. You know, it seems as if with all these rumours that Arsenal may be willing to let him go either on loan or permanently, but I've not seen us being linked with it. We don't need panic buying. We've plenty of time to prepare, said Anfield 1234. Look, I'm not suggesting we panic buy, mate. You know, I'm certainly not out here saying go get anybody. It just doesn't feel again like it's been a well-managed window for Liverpool. You know, 3 weeks out from the window being finished, less than, 2 weeks, not even 10, 11 days till we're in action against Newcastle in the Premier League. And we're lagging behind in pre-season fitness as well, which I'll discuss in a moment. So yeah, all in all, it's just making for another frustrating window. And, you know, all the media rumours about the investment and stuff, that's not going to cut it for this window. I want Iraola to succeed. And if he doesn't get what he needs, we're going to have another frustrating season. And, you know, we don't want that after last year. So I do apologise. There are going to be nights where I'm like this and I'm a little bit frustrated. And today's one of those nights. Biggie Mall said, shutting up shop after Barcola to leave the rest to the new investors / new year. Again, it's one of them things where it might be the case, but that doesn't help us in the here and now. And kicking the can down the road doesn't really help either. So it's just, again, it's underwhelming stuff, really. And it's getting pretty frustrated at this point, you know. I see the usual questions in the chat. Who told me Barcola was done? I never said Barcola was done. I've never once said the words Barcola was done. I said it will be done and he will arrive. And who told me that? Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, my man. But, you know, let's wait and see how what works out. I'm pretty confident we're going to be right on this one again. But again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's done because it isn't. And I do think at the minute around Barcola, there's a bit of brinksmanship going on. He's back with PSG, as we know. Now, there's talk of an illness and that he may be restricted in what he can do in the Super Cup against Aston Villa on Wednesday. And it will be interesting to see if he is in that matchday squad and indeed if he does get some minutes, because I very, very much doubt he'll play much by way of minutes in the game for a couple of reasons. Firstly, he's only just back. So think about it from our perspective when like Victor Munoz came back and players who came back late in pre-season for us. If he does play in an ideal world for them, he wouldn't be getting too many minutes in all honesty. So I don't really think he will play too much of a part in it. And I think this is part of the dance because PSG know what the situation is here and they know he's going to be heading towards the exit door. And I don't think they're going to want to jeopardise that just to kind of try and make a point about, will he still our player? So that's my take on it anyway. But of course, that is just that, an opinion. Panray, how are you, my friend? Said, when is Richard Hughes due to leave? Any rumours about a possible replacement? So my suspicion is that once the window shuts and we get through the early part of September, then you'll hear about him going to Al Hilal. Some people are going to be far better placed than me to give you information on this one. That's just what I've been reading and seeing. His contract runs to the end of the upcoming season. So in theory, he should be contracted to Liverpool until the end of this season. But it doesn't look like he's going to stay around that much longer. There's been talk as well behind the scenes about the possibility of some succession planning already in place. We know we've Julian Ward, David Woodfine. Julian Ward has served in the role before, but it's kind of just rinse and repeat. You know, it's just more change, more upheaval, more reason to use excuses to not get business done. So, yeah, I don't know who's going to take the job in the longer term, if they'll promote from within or if they'll look outwardly. They might delay it as well till we see what happens with the investment and, you know, maybe there's some people inside that they'd like to bring in. I really don't know, and I'd be just guessing on it. So, Florian Plettenberg has just given a bit of breaking news, and he said, breaking, Borussia Dortmund are on the verge of submitting a €55 million offer for Said El Mala. It will be 50 million up front and €5 million in add-ons. He said nothing has arrived at FC Con yet. El Mala had already agreed personal terms with Dortmund and is now waiting on the final decision. So this is one of those situations again where a potential replacement, somebody who was on the list of alternatives, could be going elsewhere as well. So, you know, those options are starting to become few and far between. But honestly, I don't really mind it because, as I said, very, very confident Barcola is going to be a Liverpool player and these other players won't really be relevant at that point. Niaro said, Craig, oh my God, it's dragging. I thought it would hurry up by now. It is what it is, and you're not wrong, bro. You're not wrong. I'm the same as everybody else. Like, as I keep trying to say, first and foremost, I'm a fan and I want this deal done. I want him training with Liverpool. I want Iriola talking about what he's going to do, how he's going to utilise him, where he's going to play, all this kind of stuff. So I get it, my man. But it is just the way it is. This is the transfer dance. And I guess if we're talking about maybe the difference between 10 million quid or not, I can understand where the club are, I would say, dragging their heels on it. But if they want the best deal and they think they can save some money, fair enough. But I get it. I'm nervous as well. From the point of view of, I'm nervous that it hasn't happened quick enough. So I see the smart arses are in. Will he offer your resignation again if Barcola doesn't happen? No, I won't do that for a couple of reasons. One, it would be exactly what you'd want me to do. Two, it will happen. And three, your opinion doesn't matter one fucking jot to me, bro, because you're just another one of the people in here to have a cheap shot at me. So just stay in the cheap seats, shut your mouth, and let the big boy do the talking, and we'll worry about it after that. But it's hard to resign from your own company as well, by the way, you know, because let's be honest, I am Anfield Agenda, so no me channel doesn't probably do what it's doing. So you just keep down, pipe down like a good little boy. And I understand genuine frustration, by the way, of course I do, but not dickheads like him. What do you think of the new manager's potential? Said William. I really like him, mate. Honestly, you know, since he's come into the club, I think it's fair to say we've all felt a little lift, right? And, you know, all the training footage looks great. The players seem really positive about him. But there's a couple of things we have to be honest about, right? This is a big step up for Andoni. And that's why I'm so adamant that I want him to have the squad that he needs. So we'll get into the fitness side in a little bit and why that's important. But he's also coming into a team now for probably one of the first times in his career where he's going to have to play twice a week or have a team that rotates twice a week. And that's going to take some doing. Specifically because we know what a high intensity he plays with, and we know that that's going to have an impact on the players. I mean, he said himself so far, the players are only able to really do 30 minutes of the kind of intensity that he'd like, and that was said as recently back as the last game. So, yeah, that's why I'm adamant he needs bodies, and he needs credible options, and he just doesn't seem to be getting any. And that's not good enough. Because you can't just keep saying, well, if everybody magically stays fit, if all the kids magically become I don't know, Messi overnight, then we'll be grand. The truth of it is, our squad isn't big enough. It will cost us over the course of a season. And obviously that will come back on the manager, because that's where frustration usually comes. And I don't want that to happen to him. So I really rate him, William. I'm really excited that he's here. But I'd be even more excited if I went into the season as a fan feeling like, yeah, we're ready. We're ready to go, but we're not. And we're a long way from it, in my opinion. You know, we're talking about basic stuff here. And we all said we wanted another attacker. We wanted to bring in a defender. And we've got one in. And I think I've been fairly flexible about that as an idea as well as a fan. I'm not throwing my toys out with a pram over it. It's a credible option. Right back's a piss take. Central midfield's a piss take. And we still haven't got it sorted. And again, that's without building out the squad. You know, adding depth to the squad. Have we done that at all in this window? You can maybe make an argument. I wouldn't even say players coming back, but you could make an argument that Nioni might be able to step up. Rio will get more minutes. Maybe Kuma steps up, although I think he'll probably go on loan. So I don't really see where the extra squad depth is coming from. Now, we may get Ndukwo back in January from his loan. That would be great. But all in all, I struggle as a fan to look at this objectively, look at the depth of our squad and think, yeah, we have enough there for the season. We absolutely don't. We didn't last year, and we've not done anything to correct course. And again, we're going to have a coach who plays a higher intensity of football, which is going to have an impact on fitness levels. Stevie boy, at what point of the Liverpool transfer window Liverpool decide to move all in deadwood that's at the club? I would imagine it'll be late. Now, I do have a little bit of information that I can bring to the table today. So what I can say is that Ward and Woodfine were both in Liverpool's offices in London for contract talks, or for talks, actually, scratch the word contract, that's not fair, for talks with Curtis Jones' agent and McAllister's father. Now, I don't know if there was more talks going on down there, but Ward and Woodfine were both there today chatting with Curtis Jones' agent and Alexis McAllister's dad, who of course represents him. What that is for, I don't know. Could be 2 contract extensions, could be looking for moves away for either of them. I don't know. All I know is that they were there today for talks. Excuse me. The Prodigy said Barcola deal isn't happening. Yeah, that's a cool story, but it is. And look, I get it. I get the pessimism. I get trying to come on to moan about it. I understand it. As a fan, I get your frustration. But to say simply it isn't happening is just bullshit. And you're going to be wrong about it. So, you know, I don't know what else to say to you, mate. But I fully believe it's going to happen. But after that, your guess is as good as mine what else happens in this window, if anything. And that's why I'm a little bit irked this evening, because it's frustrating and the clocks are ticking. Rich said, is the sale of the club affecting the window? Well, the club isn't for sale, so we've got to say that first and foremost. No, I can't imagine so, because what you're talking about here is the seniors of FSG involved in this. So John W. Henry, Tom Verner, Mike Gordon, they'd be the guys that would be involved in the conversations around the sale of the 30%. I fear it might be used as an excuse, Rich, but realistically, no, it shouldn't be. And it shouldn't be used as an excuse, in my opinion, because we're not selling the club outright. FSG are still going to own a majority share in it. And yes, the new investment will come in, but what happens with that money, like we've always said, I don't know. FSG could rightly pocket it and sail off into the sunset. That's their right. So no, I don't view that as a valid excuse, mate, as to why the window has not been what it should be. Now, I fear what we're going to hear is a few things. We're going to hear about the late sacking of Arne Slot and having to pivot the market, but that is what it sounds like. Just another excuse and not good enough. Respectfully, we need to be patient with the recruitment. The attackers will not come until after the Super Cup and new PSG signings. So, you say attackers. I don't know about the plural of that one, my friend. And I'm absolutely patient about Barcola, and I've never said that I'm not. It is obviously frustrating that we haven't moved it along, but at what point then, to just kind of flip your question back, at what point should we panic? Is 10 weeks of a 13-week window not enough time to think we should be going in the right direction? Because again, look around at the business Spurs are doing, Chelsea are doing, Arsenal are doing, and others are doing. It's not stopping them. So why is it that our recruitment team is the only one that seems to keep getting excuses made for them every single summer as to why they don't finish the job? You know, like, let's be fair about it. We're allowed to be annoyed. We're allowed to ask these questions. And of course, you're allowed to have a different opinion, mate. That never washes for me, because all it leads to is the end of the window, us being left short, and then it's too late. So, you know, we've been having these conversations on here from probably halfway through the window, if not more, about clock being ticking. So let's go all the way back. We've brought in Ronald Araujo since June. That's it. A loan for Araujo. That's all we've done. Now, forgive me, but with 3 weeks to go, less than 2 weeks till the start of the league, and a new manager in, I would like more players, and I would like the manager to have more time to train with them. So yes, sometimes a particular deal like Barcola could be one that you have to be patient on. But there are other areas that we could be going out there and strengthening. Like, remember the story a few weeks ago that Liverpool aren't going to go into this season playing midfielders at right back? Well, we haven't signed a right back yet, and Araujo isn't a right back. So the idea that we can again shoehorn somebody out of position there, I don't feel comfortable with. Jed Spence is in conversation right now with Inter Milan over a move there. They're trying to close in on a £25 million deal. So that could be another option off the table if we need a defender. So look, I'm open to being in the minority about these things. But I asked the question earlier on, are you happy if Barcola is the last signing of this window? And so far, it's pretty one-sided that no, people wouldn't be happy. So again, yeah, I'd love you to come back to me, my man, about why you think patience is always required and how that has worked for us over the recent history. Like, let's look at Mark Gay last year. That was one of the later parts of the window. How did that go for us? He's now a Manchester City player. So I just don't understand, given the benefit of the doubt, because that's a well-worn, well-trodden path at this point that just hasn't worked out. Mr. Sharples, how are you? Lola of AI just announced Douay, the right back, is on strike. He only wants Liverpool. Cool. I mean, I'll certainly reach out to the lads at Anfield Index to see what their information is around this one. I don't know anything, so I'm same as everybody else. And cool. If he's on strike, whatever, fair enough. I don't know much about him, so not really one that I can comment on. But look, I'd be very relieved if we bring in a right back. That's certainly another plus. But at this point, I don't know all that much about it, so I'm going to have to just defer to our friends at Anfield Index. Thomas Owen, how are you, Thomas? Said, interesting that Dortmund have gone for El Mala. Does that mean Mbaye rejected them? I mean, I didn't really put that together in my mind, Thomas, mate, until you mentioned it. But yeah, perhaps. Because if you look, I've always been honest with you and said I don't have much on Mbaye. I don't really know anything I can add to it. But we were front runners according to Romano last week or a few days ago. And yes, it has all gone quiet there. So I really don't know if Liverpool are working on both players right now with Paris Saint-Germain or if Liverpool are just working on Barcola. I don't know the ins and outs of that one. But it is a fair point. Like, if they are looking at Saïd El Mala, is that as an alternative? Now, there's also another point where maybe they're working on multiple deals at once to make sure that if the first one doesn't happen, they have a backup. For instance, Arsenal have been doing that quite a bit as well with Andrea Berta, working on multiple deals in each position and then kind of deciding late which one they go for. But I like the thought process, Thomas, and thank you, my man. Chad, how are we? Always a pleasure, sir. Hey, Craig, thank you for doing all the legwork on the signings and transfers. Oh, look, mate, I'll finish your comment in a second, Chad, but I'm a bit frustrated that I can't bring more to you. You know, in one way, it's unnerving not being able to give you guys more. In another way, you kind of just hope that something like Araujo is being worked on that you just don't know about and it just appears. So as each day goes by, that anxiety is definitely going to increase. But anyway, let me continue. It's nice not to have to sit through the crap. I really think Iriola can do more with less. Let's just hope he doesn't need to. So on the more with less thing, yes and no. Yes, he can improve players and coach them. But again, the intensity at which we're going to be playing this season is going to be ratcheted up from last season. So I would imagine, objectively, we'll probably see some more muscle strains, some more fatigue, a bit more burnout. And I remember going back to when he came in at Bournemouth. I think the first 9-10 games with Bournemouth were a bit of a mess. And eventually the Bournemouth players got up to speed. So maybe it'll take us a similar length of time as well. And I'm okay with that. Like, I am okay with the fitness levels being built up. You know, that's absolutely understandable. But I just think we still need to add some depth in. And while we're talking about fitness levels, I was looking at something on Sky, and the headline was Liverpool are lagging behind some of the Premier League rivals in building up pre-season fitness. So they went through a list of players who've played 75 minutes or more and how many in each team have played them. So Chelsea lead the way. They've 8 players so far in pre-season that have played 75 minutes or more in a game, so in one singular game. After that, you've got Manchester City, who have 7. Then comes Arsenal, who also have 7. Aston Villa have 6, and Liverpool have 3. Three players so far in pre-season that have played 75 minutes or more in a game. Now remember, we've one more set of pre-season games before the Newcastle away game. So even that side of it, we seem to be playing catch-up on. And again, that could be to do with the amount of players that each team had at the World Cup, how well their players did at the World Cup, how late they're coming back in, the size of the squads. It could be lots of different reasons, but it's just another metric to look at and think, okay, we have some work to do. Harvey said, is there any news on Mbaye? Will it be a double deal? The honest answer, Harvey, my man, is I don't know. I really don't know, and I don't want to mislead anybody about Mbaye because I don't have the information on it. As a fan, I'd love it. And as a fan, I hope that we are working on a double deal. But that would probably, at least in my mind, I would think that would probably lead to a departure. Whether that's Gakpo or somebody else, I don't know. But it'd be lovely. Like if we woke up and heard that Liverpool had done a double deal with PSG, I'd be over the moon. What I think I'm right in saying that Mbaye is represented by George Mendes and Liverpool have really good relations with him. So there's certainly no barrier to us doing a deal for Mbaye if, of course, it's something that Liverpool want to do. And all I know is that that we've looked at him, we're interested in him, but I don't know more than that. Mats Tillman said, would be happy if we signed Mbaye and Rayan, kept Rio Munoz on the left, sell Gakpo and Fede as cover for injuries. Again, yeah, they would be credible options as well. You know, it doesn't look like Bournemouth are for moving with Rayan at this moment in time. You know, he's only had 6 months really there as well. So I think Marco Rose is going to want to have a bit more use of him before any potential sale or anything like that. So yeah, I don't think that's one for this window as much as I'd love it. With due respect, but when do you think didn't have many players at the World Cup? The squad are clearly not fit. Look, we aren't fit. I think Iriola's even come out and said as much. He said that 30 minutes is pretty much all that they can handle of the intensity he wants them playing with. And we know where that blame lies, right? That's definitely with last season and Arne Slot's training methods. Which it'll be. Oh, I'm so intrigued to look at Frimpong this season because if the levels of training are getting more and more intense and Frimpong's able to then keep fitness throughout the year, we'd be left in no doubt then as to why those injuries were stacking up last year. And for my 2 cents, it would have been around the stop-start level of the training and how relaxed it was and how they weren't hitting full intensity. So for me, at least from the outside, I feel like that added to his injury woes last year. How are we, Michael? Said, well, boss, what's your thoughts on Victor Munoz giving off a Jota Shaqiri vibe? Looking forward to seeing more of him, fingers crossed. Totally agree with you. Yeah, he definitely gives off that little pocket rocket kind of vibe, doesn't he? I feel like he's going to be a little pit bull terrier for us and, you know, really good with the counter pressing, really good energy levels, versatility to play across both sides, a lovely turn of pace. And I can't wait to see more of him against Como. So yeah, really happy with that one, Michael. Absolutely no complaints about the cost of it or anything like that. There was a release clause, we triggered it, we paid it, and I think we'll look at this as a good deal over the course of time. Just not enough of them, unfortunately. Raekwon, always a pleasure, my friend. How are you? Right, where are we? So, hey, Craig, even if we get Barcola and another winger, then I feel this window has been a disappointment because the club promised no sagas and for business conducted quickly. Nobody forced them to brief that to the journos. I get it. And I'm equally as frustrated with the window. And I don't buy excuses, especially not for really highly paid people who are supposed to be the best in the business at what they're doing. And it feels like sometimes, Raekwon, we almost try to be too clever. like last year with Mark Gay. We could have got Mark Gay sorted out by paying a little bit more earlier on in the window, but we tried to be the smart boys again, and it came back at that time to bite us in the ass. So Richard Hughes definitely has blots on his copybook. I mean, you've got that, you've got the Zubamendi situation, you've got being led down the garden path with Diamonde, although he wasn't the only one there. So yeah, it's a frustrating one, and I have nothing else to say, mate. I'm at this moment as a fan, I'm just frustrated, you know? I'm frustrated that we don't have enough depth, and every single season we're talking about this. And again, especially after last year, where you look at the Premier League, and I don't think, apart from Arsenal being a very good defensive team, it was that squad depth, for me, that got them over the line last year. And the availability to really just rotate when they need to. If they have injuries, bring in quality. Like, was it not an alarm bell sounding in your mind when Liverpool were trying to tell the world that we didn't need a defender because we had Joe Gomez, Xhaka, Leone and Van Dijk? Like, that was a piss take to say you didn't need a centre-back. Gomez then picks up an injury 7 minutes into pre-season, so he's missed a whole of pre-season. He's not going to be ready for the start of the season, so he's already playing catch-up. Leone won't be ready for a while, still coming back from an ACL. And Xhaka, we haven't seen kick a ball yet in pre-season. So for our own club to even try and contemplate the fact that we aren't short is a piss take. Craig, let's be honest, if Slot went to Chelsea, he would have been sacked after 2 days. Well, he certainly would have been sacked a lot quicker than we sacked him. I would agree with you on that one, my man. Daniel Hughes. How are you, Daniel? Thank you so much, mate, for your super chat. Hey, Craig, hope you're okay. Been a silent watcher for a while. Just want to say, watching you has saved my life. 8:30 every night. I wait to watch you. That means so much, Daniel, mate. Thank you. Really appreciate the kind words, bro. Yeah, I'm always one of them silent watchers as well. I don't really comment much on stuff if I'm watching it in the background either. But I always say this, Daniel, it's such a privilege to be welcomed into people's homes every evening or onto their phones for a chat, you know. Even on nights like tonight, where it's pretty clear from the tone of tonight's thumbnail and tonight's title that I'm frustrated and I'm annoyed about the situation. I'm really trying to bite my lip on it because I don't want to be a pessimist who just comes on here every night moaning, but I really am just anxious at this point, Daniel. It's just not enough happening. And even the out of contract players, there's still so much of that up in the air. The fringe players, the loans, like, if we can't do X amount of stuff in 10 weeks, how are we supposed to credibly believe that we can do even more than that, much more than that actually, in the remaining 3 weeks? It's just not realistic. YouTube is the new radio. Yeah, so I find this fascinating, bro, because, you know, I'm old school to some extent. I don't really listen to the radio much, but I am very much somebody who listens to podcasts, watch television. But yeah, YouTube is continuing to grow and grow. And what's fascinating is the amount of people who are now watching YouTube on their TVs. I think for the first time in recent history or ever, more people are watching YouTube on their TVs than on their devices. So I find that fascinating as well. Dan Hawkey, how are you, Dan? Said, am I the only one who thinks Liverpool, Arsenal or City can win the Premier League title? You've segued me lovely there, Dan, into another thing that I'd seen. So Sky Sports have up on their website their 2026-27 Sky Sports predicted table using their supercomputer. So let me read out the table to you and tell you, you can tell me then if you think that will be a decent season for Liverpool in the league. So we'll work our way from 10th up. So they have Brentford finishing 10th in the Premier League. They have Brighton finishing 9th. Then they have Bournemouth 8th, Aston Villa 7th, Spurs 6th, Chelsea 5th. So far so good. We're in the top 4, right? So Chelsea 5th, Manchester United 4th. Then come Liverpool. They reckon Liverpool will finish 3rd. Manchester City 2nd, and Arsenal 1st. Now, without knowing the ins and outs of the season, as a fan right now, I would be okay with that. Now, obviously, you want the cup runs and you need context of the season. But overall, with a new head coach, with players coming back a bit late, with some injuries, 3rd place in the Premier League for me, I'd take that for Iraola's first year. Just from the league perspective, I mean. Obviously, you want some runs in the cups and stuff like that, but I'd take that at this moment. Now, of course, when the season starts, you want to dream about winning the league, and we should be dreaming. But yeah, I take that one. Third seems it kind of boosted me a little bit, to be honest with you, when I seen it, because when I'd seen the headline, I was like, oh shit, do I want to click in and see where they have us finishing? But I take third. Gary said third would be okay in the first season. Ben said I'd be happy with top four at this point, mate. Leighton said I'd take third. Keane said the same, I'd take third. Not finishing third with the squad as it stands, said Darren. It would, again, Darren, yes, it would absolutely require us to have some luck. And that's the part that winds me up, Darren, mate. So that every year we have to plan and look at a best case scenario as fans. If we get a bit of luck, if everyone stays fit, if players who have been historically injured all of a sudden aren't injured, then maybe we'll be okay. Okay, so Manchester City are moving mad here, lads. So we've seen all the links with Manchester City and Buadi, who they're still working on. We've seen the links with Manchester City and McAllister. We know that they've signed Elliot Anderson. Here's another one for you. Fabrizio Romano has said, Manchester City already made contact with Enzo Fernandez camp, but the deal depends on Chelsea's valuation. Chelsea are asking for a £120 million fee and would be happy to keep Enzo. Manchester City hope to negotiate as the deal depends on price. So you've got our rivals there who also have a new coach, who've just gone out and brought in Elliot Anderson, and then they're trying to bring in another top quality central midfielder. They went in, they got Mark A and Antoine Semenyo in the January window before that. And again, we're supposed to believe as fans that we're set up for the season and we're going to be able to go in there and compete. It's madness. It's madness. How are you, bro? Said, remember the journalist saying Liverpool will spend again this summer. Even Slot was saying there would be lots of squad change. Yeah, there was lots of reports that said Liverpool are going to have a busy summer. Well, it hasn't been busy so far, and we've 3 weeks to go to the day. So, yeah, every day that goes by at this point, it again becomes a bigger problem. Bransfield said, hey Craig, I read somewhere that Liverpool would be willing to walk away from the Barcola deal if PSG don't lower the price and stand firm on 145. Again, that's the dance, isn't it, mate? That's the brinksmanship. I'm sure, because if you look at it from both sides, right, you've got Liverpool maybe saying that, and then you've got PSG saying, well, we're going to include him in the Super Cup squad, and he's still our player, and we're happy to keep him. But again, in all of this lies Bradley Barcola. And PSG aren't stupid. We know what's going on here. They're getting in their players and then Barcola will move. What I never understand, though, is why everyone leaves these things so late. Liverpool know they need Barcola. PSG know we need Barcola. And I've said this all the way through the summer. The longer it goes, the more difficult it is, in my opinion, to try and get a good deal in these negotiations because your desperation's ratcheting up. And if we don't get him, I don't even want to think about it. But I do think we get him. But on the walking away thing, I think that's brinksmanship, to be honest with you, mate, more than anything. Lola and Anfield Index said a source on Douay broke Welbeck to Chelsea. Well, as I said, I'll have to defer to our friends at Anfield Index there. I don't have the intel on it. So I'll have a watch to see what Lola said, and I'll drop them a message and see what they're hearing on it. But I don't have anything that I can add to that conversation. But what I would say is, if we're looking at Douay as a right back, cool. That's another position that would certainly be ticked off the problem list for us. So I hope her information is spot on, and hopefully we see Liverpool moving for a right back. But even at that, right, why so late? Why so late in the window? I understand that overseas squad places and all this stuff has to be kept, but you can free up some of these squad places fairly easily. Chiesa, get rid of him off the squad list. Ramsey, get rid of him off the squad list. There's 2 places freed up immediately of the overseas places. So, and we're not really losing anything there, are we? So for me, do something like that and just get the fuck on with it rather than constantly just dicking about and leaving until the end, because every day the manager's not working with the players is another day we're playing catch-up, and we're already playing catch-up fitness-wise and with minutes for players in pre-season. And we know we've lots coming back from injury as well. So add in all of that, and it's almost a recipe for a slow start to the season. Rich Baldy, how are you, bro? Always a pleasure. Said, we're leaning too much on Bradley, Leone, Frimpong, Jacquet, Chimicas' defensive solution with Araujo rotating. We're taking too many risks, mate. Like, if the right back situation is resolved and somebody comes in, that is a huge weight off. Because right now, what we have is Frimpong. He's the right back option right now. Maybe Ramsey at a push, but nobody knows if he's good enough or not. And he hasn't really been given too much minutes in pre-season, and also lots of links with him going to move. And he's got 1 year to go on his deal. So yes, and also, like, we can't play this hypothetical game where all of a sudden we think, okay, Bradley's going to come back and not be injured anymore. Because we've got no reason logically to think he won't suffer more injuries. Because his career, unfortunately, to this point has been beset with injuries. Or so, I don't think it's jumping the gun to say, to roll that dice and again expect Gomez to stay fit. He won't. Expect Bradley to stay fit. He won't. And then a lad coming back from an ACL. Again, you can talk to anybody you want in sports science and they'll tell you that secondary injuries coming back from something like that happens quite a bit. So yeah, I don't know. All I know is that it isn't good enough. Ramsey is a foreign player. Again, if you're going to come at me with information, be correct about it. Calvin Ramsey doesn't count as homegrown. He doesn't. So he is on the overseas list. And we talked about this the other night when we said that there was lots of talk when Araujo was coming in from the Echo and journalists that Ramsey was going to be the one sacrificed for that space. So he isn't counted as homegrown. Luke said, I saw today that Leverkusen signed Medina from Marseille. Could that spell a potential return for Kwanzaa? What's your thoughts? Not this summer. No, there's absolutely, unless something's happened today inside Liverpool, there's no way that's happening. And also, Liverpool don't have a release clause for this summer now on Kwanzaa, so they wouldn't be able to just take him. That release clause has expired. If I remember right, I think it was the end of June, Liverpool had for this year for the release clause, and then it kicks in again next year at a lower price. So maybe they're thinking longer term and looking to replace him, but it won't be this summer and it won't be Liverpool. Araujo can play right back. He doesn't though. Like, look at how many times he's played at right back. Szoboszlai's played more games at right back than Ronald Araujo. So if you want to buy into that myth from the club and the journalists to just try to make you feel better, crack on. But he hasn't had much experience at right back. He's a centre back. That's the truth of it. So, Bryn said, hey, I'm flush this week, so send in super chat. Thank you, man. That's very kind of you. Sometimes I agree with you, sometimes I disagree with you, but I'm always entertained by you. Thank you. You know what? I really appreciate that, because the fact that you do disagree with me on things, like in the modern world, the amount of times I see people in life say, I disagree with this person on this thing, therefore that person is a bad guy to me, or that person is an arsehole to me. I disagree with my best mates passionately about stuff all the time, but they're still my best mates and I still love them to bits. So I'm so glad, mate, that you're open to that, because the amount of times you'll see people coming in and going, I hate you because of this, and I'm just like, okay, what about the 99.99 other percent of me or me time? So yeah, look, if we can disagree, that's okay, but hopefully we can always talk it through. And that's what I tried to do on here, is I will always have time for anyone who's respectful and has a difference of opinion in a genuine way, but I'll never put up with people just shouting at me, my man. So appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support, and of course for the generosity with the super chat as well. Hey Craig, Barcola, Wharton and Bay in the window at a 10. Seven? Yeah, I think 7. Because we'd still be short of a right back there. So bringing a right back, that pushes it up to 8. But without a right back, look, I'd be happy with Wharton in, don't get me wrong. I'd have no issues with Wharton coming in. Mbaye, again, exciting young talent. I would have a bit of a concern if we lost Gakpo for experience from the attack. But that's a personal thing. Yeah, that'd be a good window, mate. But again, not much building out done in that window. But it certainly would be more pleasurable than where we currently are. So I'd give it a 7. Paul said, I expect Kelleher to re-sign next summer as Ali will probably leave and we'll need 2 top keepers, but Kelleher will expect to be number 1. I don't know, have any... I'd love that to happen. Let me say that firstly. 2 things in the back of my mind about the goalkeeper situation. One, I, like you, I'm not ready to say Georgie's the guy to come in and be the number 1 keeper. Secretly, I'm hoping Alisson stays a bit longer, if I'm being honest with you. But of course, that could depend on his want, and it could also depend on his fitness for the season. You know, if Alisson starts to pick up some more injuries throughout the year, I think then there's no more argument about whether this is going to keep recurring or not. It will. So if he doesn't, I'd love him to stay a bit longer. And I think as a goalkeeper, he certainly has 2 or 3 more years at the very top. But what I would say is Armin Petchy is one to keep an eye on as a goalkeeper. I don't know when he'll be ready to come in and be a number 1. But he's a very good young goalkeeper, and I have high hopes for him in the long term. But what the long term is, yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. But for Georgie, I don't know. Some people are a bit more critical of him than I am, because I've not really seen him make too many mistakes. Like somebody tried to say the other day in the comments that he was at fault for the goal. Was it the 3rd goal for Monaco, the one where he palmed it back in and then the player scored on the rebound? I mean, I think he made a good save in the first place, and yes, ideally you don't want to palm the ball back into play, but it was point blank stuff. He couldn't really direct it, and the defence made a mistake. So yeah, never understand why we sold Kelleher, other than obviously his desire to want to be a number 1, but to not try to negotiate a buyback option in there seems scandalous. Nessie said, hey Craig, hope you're in well, mate. Nothing is surprising anymore. We've forgotten that a good defence won us those trophies, not just the goals. Yeah, and that's been our Achilles heel for many, many years, since I've been watching Liverpool anyway. Like, we've been blessed with great attackers all the way through my time supporting the club, but the defence has been the Achilles heel so many times, and obviously Virgil came in and put that right for us, as did Alisson Becker. But I just keep coming back to this one thing. You let Canade walk out the door for free and you're not looking to replace him. Like Araujo on a loan, I'm okay with. But I'm just getting tired of having to try to mentally twist my thoughts into justifying a lack of business. It is depressing, because you wake up, you look at the internet, and you see so many stories about Liverpool's valuation and all the people that want to invest in it and all this stuff, and then you're just thinking, well, why aren't we fucking seeing it on the pitch? Like, why aren't we able to do what City are doing or what Chelsea are doing? Why is it always with Liverpool there is a caveat to, we're one of the wealthiest clubs in the world, the club's now worth infinitely more than it was when FSG bought it, everybody's great, but here's the excuse as to why we can't see that invested into the squad. At some point we just have to say enough is enough. Yeah, enough is enough. Mike said, we're the only big club where the owners keep weakening us every year. We win the league, sell loads, buy nobody and struggle, and FSG just need to go. So look, I agree on the squad management. There's lots of pluses and positives about what FSG have done. Lots and lots of them. But you can't just ignore the squad. And you can't ignore the issues we've had season after season after season. And the common denominators are the owners. So sporting directors will come and go. But ultimately, these are the guys with the purse strings. And yeah, like, there are things they could have done to offset some costs this summer, but they haven't done any yet. Like 11 players out of contract. Nobody's going to convince me we can't sell 5 or 6 of them to bring in even a combined 40 or 50 million quid. And that couldn't be used then to go and strengthen with a player that has a future. You know, and again, as a club, we're again told every penny counts. Well, they've shit the bed with Elliott. That cost the club at least 20 million quid. All these things aren't logical. Now, one thing I forgot to mention yesterday about Ronald Araujo is, and forgive me for just forgetting to mention it, there's no loan fee included in that one. So Araujo took a wage cut to come to Liverpool, as was reported by, I think, David Lynch and a few others. So well done to them on that, great reporting. But also Liverpool did not pay a loan fee to Barcelona, so that is one positive, I guess. Lewis Steele said, double deal PSG and Gakpo out, great show. I love that. I mean, I like Lewis Steele. I think he's a really cool journalist, even for a City fan. But I will certainly bow down to his info on this one because he's a journalist, I'm a fan, and I don't have anything about a double deal, but I hope he's right. On the Gakpo thing, though, I find it interesting. In theory, I'm okay with it, but I do have some reservations around the experience up top then. But, okay, I'll walk you through it in a second. Let me just end this poll. So we asked, if Barcola was our only other signing, would you be happy with the window? And 83% said no. Thank you to those that voted, by the way. So let me just go back to what I was saying a minute ago. So let's say we brought in Barcola and we brought in Ibrahim Mbaye. We take it for granted that, let's say, Chiesa's moved on, Gakpo's moved on. So the profile of our attack then is a young enough Victor Munoz, a fairly young Bradley Barcola, a really young Ibrahim Mbaye, and a really young Rio Ngamoa with potentially Luis Kumas. I would be a little bit concerned about the age profile, but also, in another breath, it's usually young wingers that are the explosive ones. So if you have fearless young wingers, then it doesn't really matter what the ages are. So, I'm conflicted on that. But the Gakpo situation will be intriguing because I definitely feel like there's a sale or two coming to offset even what we've already done. Endrick too. Well, according to Fabrizio Romano yesterday anyway, Endrick's staying at Real Madrid. And that's, again, according to him, being communicated to Endrick's representatives. Now, I know somebody that spoke to his agent, and his agent was trying to make out like Liverpool were in the mix and that Liverpool were serious about it. Now, I never believed it because it always felt to me, much like Arsenal were getting played with Vinicius Jr., that we were getting used to try and make Madrid make a decision or to force them into a situation where more favourable loan terms are there. And then very quickly Romano came out and said he was staying. So I'll certainly have to bow down to Romano on this one because I don't have anything on it. Craig, are you starting to get the doubt the Barcola deal will get done? No, I've no doubts about it. None. Like I said, nothing's changed from, I don't know anything happening that will make it happen today, tomorrow, whatever, but I've nothing to suggest there's any issues around that deal. He wants Liverpool. Liverpool want him. And when PSG get their players on, I think he comes to Liverpool. So no, I'm absolutely confident on Barcola. But that's where my confidence stops. What do you think of Dave O.C. Cop? I don't know Dave O.C. on a personal level. Yeah. So if I don't know somebody, it would be very unfair of me to have an opinion on them. I don't even follow the account too much, to be honest. So yeah, best to just say I don't know. That's the kindest answer, I think. Robert said, "Hey Craig, I think Liverpool finished second in the Premier League and will win the FA Cup. Your thoughts?" I take that for the season, Robert. That would be more than good for Andoni Iraola's first year. Yeah, I'd like a little deeper run in the Champions League as well because it's been very frustrating going out at the first knockout stage in the last couple of years, the PSG. So I'd like a little bit of a deeper run in that. But yeah, I'd take that. A domestic cup and second place in the league, that would be a very good first season. Shaheen, how are you, sir? Said, United fan here. I watch your show for exactly that welcoming attitude. Thank you, bro. Yeah, look, we don't have to be toxic, We'll have our banter when Liverpool play United and, if you beat us, you'll come in and I'll take it on the chin. And if we beat, vice versa. But it doesn't have to be, disrespectful or anything. So I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate all the support that we get. And I will always be welcoming. I know people think I'm a hothead, but I'm only a hothead when Liverpool aren't doing well or when somebody's been a prick to me. But if somebody like your good self comes in with, kindness in their heart, I'll talk to you all day, bro. And a pleasure to welcome you into the community. So thank you. Why is the Barcola deal taking so long? So all I can say to you is rewind your mind back to last summer and Florian Wirtz. We knew, and I told you he was going to sign, but I never had control over the length of time it took. And it went way longer than I expected, but he came in. So I can't tell you exactly why the Barcola deal is taking this long, other than the obvious things like PSG getting their ducks in a row, them still haggling over the number on the bonus side of it. So after that, I don't know, bro. But I just want to reiterate, I don't think we've nothing to be concerned about, other than not having him in right now or as quickly as possible to get Iriola working with him. So yeah, that's I know that isn't the answer anybody wants, and I know that isn't an answer that puts maybe your fears at ease, but it's the honest answer, and that's all I can give you is honesty, you know. If I thought there was something to be concerned about, like, let's go back. Remember with the Slot thing, when I said Slot was getting fired? And then I let doubt creep into my own mind because it was taking longer than it should have. But ultimately it was right and it happened. We're kind of here again with this one. You know, I can't control the time frame of it, but I can control the information that we're getting, and I can control how I bring it to you, and I can control the levels of confidence I talk about it with. And I don't think you've anything to be concerned about in that regard, other than the frustration that you rightly feel about the slowness of it. And I'm right with you on that. You know, as a fan, I want him training with Liverpool. I want Iriola working with him. I want to see him against Como. I want to know what we're getting. I want to know the price we're paying. I want to know the length of contract. I want to see him in the Liverpool shirt. I want to be on here celebrating with people. But I get it. And I am equally as frustrated as you, but I cannot make stuff up just to make it go quicker or lie to you. Not to have a dig at you, but can you explain what changed your mind about Barcola? As you said last year, you didn't want him. Nothing's changed, and it's a more than fair question. Barcola isn't perfect, and he wouldn't have been the one I would have wanted. I've never gotten away from that, but he's the player we're going for now. And looking around right now, my concerns about his finishing is still there, but he's probably the best option that we can go for right now. So I'm just getting on board with it really more than anything. But of course, I still have the same concerns I always had. Yeah, you know, it's not like I get to say Liverpool don't get Barcola. I don't think he's perfect, therefore it shouldn't happen. I've always promised you that whoever comes in, I'm going to get behind and support. And Barcola will be no different. But if you want ideals, Michael Elise is the ideal one. He's the one that that should be brought in. But we can't get him. Sorry, I'm just trying to ban somebody here in the chat. Cool. Yeah, Elise would be ideal. Diamande was the one that we thought we were getting. Obviously, that one went tits up. So, yeah, I haven't changed my opinion on it. I'm just trying to get on board with it more than anything. But my same concerns about his finishing and stuff like that would still apply. And I'll never feel afraid to bring up stuff like that to me because it's a very fair question, you know. And I appreciate the way you asked it as well, because I have concerns and they still apply. Rich said last year we were talking about a dynasty. This year, happy with top four. Fair to say last season hurt the club quite a bit. Maybe we lack signings. Yeah, last season was such a strange one because I understood all the optimism. I felt it myself. You know, it was an impressive window. We didn't finish it, but I didn't see that level of collapse coming. And what really got me about last season, Rich, was even pushing aside the transfer business. I'd love to hear, logically, why Slot changed the way we played and why we went away from it. I remember something that stood out to me as well last summer was the journalists were over watching us in Hong Kong, I think it was, if my memory's right. And they said that Liverpool were working on set pieces and then ditched it and went in a different way. And I remember that stood out to me thinking, why were we working on something and then ditched it? And then the season went the way it went and it became a very set piece oriented season. And we were so poor at it. And one of the worries that I had when Andoni Iraola was in, and there wasn't many, but one of the worries I had was that his defensive record with Bournemouth was bad. It wasn't, it was right up there with ours. Like, they conceded too much as well. So that was definitely always a concern I had. But yeah, you're not wrong, mate. And what gets me more is the amount of people that constantly just say, it'll be fine, stop moaning, it'll be fine. But it's never fine, and it never has been fine, and it never will be fine until you have the depth of squad that we need to really challenge. And you're right, Rich. They said we were going to be able to try to dominate domestically and compete with everybody. Well, we aren't even competing in the first transfer market with a new manager in. It's hard to feel the levels of optimism that any dynasty is being built. Sandeep, how are you, bro? Said Craig, good evening. Good evening to you as well. Your channel's great. I like watching your coverage, especially your honesty. I'm trusting your judgment on Barcola, but I won't hold it against you if it doesn't happen. Come on, Bezos. Honestly, I appreciate that, but really, I'm so confident that it does, because everybody I speak to, and I mean some directly, some indirectly, but everybody is very much on the same page with it. Some, like I've said many times, are even further, and they think this is all just a dance and it's ultimately agreed. I'm not that confident that I can say I think everything's agreed, because I don't think it is. But I mean, at this point, 5 journalists that you would class as, at least 4 of them as tier 1, a couple of lower tier agents, like, there was just, I've not been met with anything at all in any way negative around the Barcola situation. So, like I've said as well, so many people have their content ready to go around it. They just need to insert in the fee or insert in a little bit here. There genuinely is really, really good optimism on it. Begsyful. I like that account name, actually, bro. Begsyful. Well in. Hey, mate, love having you on when tidying up after dinner. Fitness, bit of a concern, but looking forward to Como games to see what the crack is from there. Yeah, it'd be interesting again to see how the players can last the pace. Like, Szoboszlai got 75 minutes in the last one, but I remember being on here talking during the game and saying he looked burnt out at that point. Like, he looked 75 minutes and he was done. So coming into the Newcastle game, that is a concern, right? How much can we get out of these players at the level of intensity he wants before maybe the fall off starts? And I wouldn't be at all surprised if we did have a stuttering start to the season in the league, much like he did when he came in at Bournemouth. And that's why I keep saying, for me this season, it's been about making sure we're in those Champions League places and trying to peak in the latter part, the second half of the season, and see if we can do something in a cup. They'll say sell Jones and say Trey is his replacement. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, what really baffles me about the Curtis Jones situation is how they're so far apart in their valuations. Because, like, looking at this logically, I don't think Inter Milan are going to pay Curtis Jones a wage that Liverpool couldn't afford to pay. So you can only imagine that either Curtis Jones is asking for ridiculous money at Liverpool, or Liverpool are offering him a petty amount, and that there's just no appetite to get that done. And that confuses me. Because if you didn't think Curtis Jones had a future at the club longer term, well, 2 years out, you should have been looking to sell him. And you should have been looking to sell him for peak value. Not another homegrown player leaving for a fraction of his value because he's down to 1 year on his contract after Canade left for nothing, Trent left for next to nothing. These are just stupid decisions. I see that you're moaning again comments. Yeah, but you're forgetting your part of it. You're watching again, right? So it doesn't matter what I do. Moan, happy. I could come on here and read the phone book and you'd still watch my trolling little friend. That's the part that you got to see the irony in here. I'll do whatever I do, but you'll always be watching. And that makes me smile. Even Elmo thinks it's funny. Look. Where are you, Elmo? You're being bantered by Elmo. Hughes hasn't a Scooby. Said, I'm hoping this minority stake leads to a full sale from FSG. Not many windows like this. Not the worst owners, but not ambitious either. Held back. I'm in that camp exactly. Not the worst owners by any stretch of the imagination, but held back, I think, is right. And this is where I kind of lose patience with them, because I've said many times on here, I can understand how FSG came in thinking that FFP was going to be enforced and thinking that they could outsmart other clubs, build up the revenue, and make Liverpool a super force. But ultimately, football's gone in a slightly different direction, and they don't seem to like the way football has gone. So for me, they should step aside then. Exactly like you. If they aren't hungry enough to succeed, sell up and step aside. Because I read somewhere they're going to make something like 1,400% profit. 1,400%. They bought the club for 300 million, and it's roughly worth about £4.5 to £5 billion. So I don't know what else they should be hanging on for at this point. If they want to be involved in it and they want to come with a new football that is very much money driven, they can be a part of it, but they choose not to be to the extent that other clubs are. Romano will probably retire after the window. I'd seen somebody said something about a post on LinkedIn or something like that, right? If I'm not mistaken, it's something about Romano saying that after this transfer window, he's going to go into a different industry or something like that. Now, I haven't got a clue, mate, what to expect there. So, yeah, I don't know what his thinking is, what he's going to do. Yeah, I've no idea, but it's certainly intriguing to watch and find out. David, hey Craig, any update on the Bezos news? No. It seems like it's fairly close. Like what is it they're saying? It's in advanced talks from what I can gather, but like I've no idea. Like everybody else, I'm waiting to see. Sorry, what's that? Oh, sorry, chat disconnected for a second. I think it's back there now. Don't idea what happened there. Chat disconnected for a second, but should be back there now. Yeah, I've got no idea on the takeover. Look, my gut instinct tells me that this is the first part of them eventually taking a controlling interest, because you're not going to want to play second fiddle and not be making decisions. Because Bezos is not used to not making decisions. In his life, he's one of the richest men in the world, one of the most successful men in the world. He's going to want to be involved in decision making. So, looking at United, you'd nearly think, is this going to be them looking to come in, take over the footballing side of it, run that side of it, and then maybe get to, maybe not an overall buyout, but certainly a controlling share? Aiden, LFC, Alonso, Mascherano, or Fabinho in the current team? In the current team, I'd take Mascherano, because I think Mascherano is more of what we need. But, it's very hard not to say Alonso, but he was a regista and it would be different. So, yeah, I'd go for Mascherano, but I'd love to know what the chat would go with. Why does the chat keep stopping and then coming back in? I've no idea what's going on with the chat. It disconnects, comes back in, disconnects, comes back in. I've no idea what it is. So, yeah, for me, I'd go for Mascherano from that list. I think he'd be the one that would suit us the most right now. Would I object to a Trent return? I would, yeah. I would, yeah. I'd reject it. I'd reject the idea of Trent coming back, because either we get him on loan and we make him better for Madrid again, in which case we say goodbye all over again, or we end up paying a transfer fee for a player that walked out the door for next to nothing. It just doesn't sit well with me. So, yeah, I wouldn't want him back. But I don't really have any bitter feelings towards him. He made his choice. It's his career. But we all knew he wasn't going to go to Madrid and win a Ballon d'Or, or go to Madrid and become something that he thought he was going to become. Anybody that really had his best interests at heart probably would have told him to stay, and that this is the place where he can achieve everything he wants to achieve, because I think nobody would call it an unmitigated success so far for Trent at Madrid, but it's also just year one. But he went in there to work with Xabi Alonso, right? And now he's working with Jose Mourinho. So even at that, he went in there and he made no secret of the fact that Alonso was an idol of his. But it's Madrid, so expecting managers to be there for any decent level of time is foolhardy. Did you see that video of the kid asking Trent for an autograph and he sat there with a face like a slapped arse? 100%. Yeah, I did. There was quite a few young lads went up and down, a few of them getting their jersey signed, and exactly what you've said. He just looked like he wasn't happy or didn't want to be there, or he didn't look happy and carefree anyway. What if it's for free after his contract is terminated? You honestly think Real Madrid are going to rip up the contract of a player in their prime and not get money from him? I mean, there's just absolutely no chance of that happening, mate. Nobody's going to rip up a contract of a player that's probably worth 70 million quid to just give him back. They just sell him elsewhere. And they wouldn't have any qualms about letting him know that he's not wanted. Like there'd be no niceties like he got with Liverpool or any of that bollocks. He'd be absolutely told you're surplus to requirements. You're going to the B team, so we're selling you, and that's it. Was Bournemouth's defence just as bad because they lost almost all of them every year, or the system? Think Iriola will surprise with a trophy this year? Could be a bit of both. And I haven't watched enough of Bournemouth to say definitively Grizzly what it was, but we still have trouble with set pieces. We can see that now. We've conceded from 2 throw-ins against Leeds, and we conceded from a corner again against Monaco. Now, granted, Virgil wasn't there when we conceded in those instances. He'd gone off the pitch at that point, and he hadn't played in the games against Leeds, or the game against Leeds. So it was just not good enough defensively at the minute. There's no way around that. We just aren't. See the bit of Trent sulking, him and Tyler. Gimps said saxophonal. Yeah, I did see it. He didn't look happy, but again, it's his career. He had his big summer of 66 bollocks back at Anfield before he left. He said all his goodbyes. He was going to win Ballon d'Ors, and it's his career. Michael said, need another left back. Costa's not good enough. Agreed. Not good enough and out of contract in a year. So let me ask you guys what we should do. What should we do with Costas? Because this is something that I've talked about so many times on the stream. So there's 3 options for Costas. You either sell him this summer and recoup some money, you either give him a new deal and keep him at the club, or you let him go next summer for free. They're the 3 options for Costas. Let me know which one you think we should go with. I'm very much in the camp of selling and getting in some money, even if it's Chambers that has to fill in, or we go out and get another fullback. I don't think it's a good long-term option in any way, shape, or form. I think it's cheapness yet again, and we've weakened ourselves because we've let Robbo go and brought back in somebody who couldn't get a game at Roma. That just doesn't scream confidence to me. So this was from the touchline earlier on. Fabrizio Romano has hinted that a major change to his career could be coming after the transfer window. I'm probably not going to continue working in the transfer market the way I'm doing right now for much longer. It's time to change the approach, the view, but this will be another topic soon after the window closes. I struggle to think he's going away from football. Now, whether he's going to go in and try and become an agent, I don't know. But the idea that he's going to walk away from something that he is uniquely placed in and very much at the forefront of the industry in, I'd be very surprised if he walks away from that and that level of money as well. I really would. Matt said Mourinho is never going to put up with Trent. He's not defensively sound enough for a Mourinho team. I have no idea, but it's Trent's problem. It's not ours. Our problem is we just don't have enough of a right back. Yeah. So I can't bring up that super chat, Harvey. I can't bring it up on screen, mate, because of one of the words in it, and I don't even want to read it out, bro, because I know you don't mean it in a serious way, but it's not a phrase that I'm going to be reading out even as a joke. So sorry on that one, mate. Tom said Slot should have been sacked sooner. It was Hughes and Edwards should have been given the boot at the same time. We're sleepwalking to another seed of mediocrity and frustration. Well, yes, he should have been sacked. Should have been sacked November, December. And I was screaming for it at the time, but sure, you know, I'm just the hothead. And then eventually, when it was too late, the season was already pretty much derailed, the club fired him. But should have been done sooner. And any club that was realistic about success would have fired him sooner, because not only was last season poor, he made it worse. RCN Soap, how are you, my man? Said sell him and sign Reed. He's a right back who's very good at both feet, very fast, and can play left back as well. That helps us with the right back problem. Yeah, there's definitely some credible options out there, like Jed Spence is an option. I don't know if the idea of getting Neco Williams from Forest would be an option, but it's certainly one that I'd look at, or at least inquire about. And both of those options would have been classed as homegrown as well. So again, wouldn't have to worry about an overseas squad place, which of course Costas takes up. Suketu said, with Costas, I don't think anybody wants him. You need a willing buyer. That's true. Absolutely. That is true, mate. That's very fair. But I think you would find somebody to take him with 1 year to go. Like, he's a Greek international. I think he's captained them on occasion, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, you would imagine, because ultimately what, we're going to just keep him for a year, let him go for nothing, and hope that he doesn't fuck up too badly in the year. Like, it doesn't scream, we want to win, does it? Niaro said, Craig, you reckon a midfielder comes in if Jones and or Maka leaves? I think the real key is Maka. Like, the Jones situation, what somebody said earlier on is kind of what I think will happen. He gets sold and he only takes a squad place. And I'm all right with that. But again, it comes back to the profile of midfielder that we're still short of for Iriola's system. I mentioned this earlier on, I'll reiterate it for you now. Liverpool had Julian Ward and Woodfine both at the offices in London meeting with Curtis Jones' agent and McAllister's father. Now, I don't know what those meetings were about. I don't know if they were trying to finalise deals for both to leave, if they were talking contract extensions. I don't know. But they were meeting with both of them. So let's see what happens with that. And yeah, look, if Maka goes, that will free up money. But you have to have a willing buyer. And I don't know who's at the table at the minute. We've heard some rumours about Manchester City. We've also heard about them and Enzo Fernandez. There's some rumours about Madrid, but nothing concrete. And again, the clock's ticking. So even if Liverpool do get an offer that they deem acceptable for Maka, can they go get the replacement that they want in this window? I don't know the answer to that. Dave said, if Owen Beck's good enough, back up Kirkes. Oh, is he good enough? I don't know. I don't know, Dave. That's the honest answer. I'll tell you this, though. I'd rather give Chambers a go than keep Costas. That's genuine. But I have no idea on Owen Beck. Craig, I've just heard on another stream, Liverpool are considering walking away from Barcola. How true is it? Look, how am I supposed to answer what somebody else has said? All I can say to you is, I don't know that to be the case. I would imagine, if anything, that's just a negotiating stance. But I can't tell you what others are talking about, why they're talking about it, where they're getting their information from. I just would say I don't think that's right. But I don't know who it is, what they're saying, but I don't think it's right. And nobody that I've spoken to today they're all frustrated that it's still dragging on. But again, nothing's changed about confidence of the deal getting done. And also, let's say we do walk away. Well, then what are we going to do? Right? Because walking away and not getting a player isn't an option. So if we've struggled this long to find the option, what is the likelihood of us walking away and going and getting someone that's good enough? I've said all summer, I don't want Minta. I don't want that to be the option. Fernandez Pardo is in conversations, I think, with Atletico. We just spoke about Said El Mala and Borussia Dortmund looking at him. So all these options are becoming less and less. Bouzamana Toure went to Newcastle. So I just don't see what you think you achieve by saying, I'm walking away and going. Like, fair enough, but it's not going to solve the problem. And you've invested so much time and energy into this, you got to see it through. Selling Jones is a crime. No scouts from the team is criminal. If he wants out, then that's fine, but he needs moving on. But it's a crime not having a local in the team. The whole situation's just weird, isn't it? Like I've said, one, shouldn't have been let get to this point. Two, how can we not come to an agreement with him over a deal? Because there's no part of me that thinks that he's going to be getting money at Inter Milan that he can't get at Liverpool. The money isn't in Italian football. So I don't see that it would be a case of, Liverpool can only give him 120 grand a week, but he can get 200 grand a week at Inter Milan. So I don't think it's going to be that Liverpool can't get to the level, but I don't know the information. Like, I don't know what was on the table from Jones. I don't know if they were told, we don't plan on renewing you, or we're only renewing you if you agree on this number and this is the number and we're not moving. I don't know. Where have we got? Sell Costas, would that free up a space for Ndukwe? No, I don't think so. And the reason I'm pausing, because it's a work permit thing rather than a football rule thing. So I think it would still apply that he doesn't have the points needed to get the work permit. So no, I think it wouldn't make any difference. Now, it would free up an overseas squad place, but I don't think it would help at all for Ndukwe, because I think that's a... Is it the Home Office that deals with this in the UK? I don't know who deals with immigration in the UK, but yeah, it's a work permit thing rather than a football thing. Itachi said, a few weeks ago, we thought about Barcola and Diamonde. Man, that was a really nice dream. It was, and even a little bit after that, mate, we thought about Rayan and Barcola as a potential dream. So, yeah, like I said, it's a long way from Liverpool having a busy window with the journalists being briefed to this. And again, remember when we were talking about bringing in a pacey forward? I think I'm not speaking at a turn to say that there was plenty written to say that Liverpool don't want this situation to become a saga and drag on into August. Now, I think initially they were talking about that in Diamonde, but it still stands for a forward. You don't want to be in a saga and dragging into August. Well, here we are in August, and welcome to the saga, because we're still here. Less than 2 weeks till the league starts. 3 weeks left in the transfer window in general. And here we are, having made one signing this summer and a loan signing. And I don't buy into Jeremy Jacquet being a deal for this summer, because we agreed that back in January. So they don't get any bonus points for that one. That was already done. So what the fuck have they been doing? If we do sell Costas, we'll need to buy 2 more fullbacks. Well, let me look at it another way, Peter. Let's say we keep him. The options are give him a new deal or he goes for free in a year. And if he goes for free in a year, we're still at the same point of needing the fullback, right? So it doesn't really do anything except kick the can and the problem down the road for the next sporting director. And it's another headache. Like, we're talking about squad depth now, but next summer we could be talking about 10 or 11 players who've left. Now, there's no way we're going out into the market and bringing in 7 or 8 players to just make up for the ones that have left. So, as somebody said earlier on, every summer it feels like the squad's been made smaller and smaller and smaller, and we're expecting miracles or, levels of availability that haven't been there previously. It's just madness to think anything's going to change this year after a World Cup as well. Uh, I don't see what's happened from yesterday's news of Barcola will be joining once PSG finalise deals. I haven't said anything to the contrary, Jamie, mate. Everything still applies exactly as yesterday. But that doesn't finish the window, right? Like when I'm talking about my frustration, Jamie, I'm talking about it after Barcola. I'm presuming that one gets done because I've no information to change my stance on it. But if Barcola comes in and we close the window now, that's still not good enough. There's still so many deficiencies and headaches in the squad, and the manager still needs more players. Paul Wood said Lewis Steele has said that once PSG get their players, Barcola and Baye will move quickly. Look, again, I hope he's spot on. I understand his thought process, of course, and Lewis Steele is a journalist, so he would have very good sourcing on it. I just can't speak to the Mbaye part of it because I don't know. The Barcola stuff, yes, absolutely, and I've said they need to get their players in, and we might not like it, but ultimately they have to look after their own interests. Yeah, but it is getting to the point now where enough is enough. Like, just fucking do something decisive, get it done, because Iriola needs time to work and plan for these guys. How does Bezos' stake help the club transfer wise? The honest answer is I don't think anybody knows that, Ben, because the money that Liverpool's owners are going to get from selling 30%, there's nothing to say that has to be reinvested or even part of it into the club. Like, you know, they could just pocket that money, go and buy another sports team with it, buy a yacht with it, do whatever the fuck they want with it. So I don't know how Bezos' investment helps other than it's another high profile owner who's going to want. Oh, hang on. Just got a message from a journalist. 1 second. Uh, okay. So I just got a message there about the Douay thing. So apparently, yes, he's gone on strike at Strasbourg. Everton wanted him, but he wants to move to Liverpool. But what this information doesn't say is where Liverpool's head's at with it. So yeah, just got that sourced information just sent to me from a journalist that second, backing up exactly what that lady said over on Anfield Index. But we don't know where Liverpool are with it. That's all I can say is he looks like he wants a move. He is going on strike at Strasbourg. 1 sec, more messages coming in. Yeah, sorry, the message was a bit of a joke. The second part said maybe he's going on strike because he doesn't want to go to Everton. Sorry, that just made me chuckle a little bit. But yeah, I don't know after that. It does appear that's true, that he is going on strike at Strasbourg and that he wants to come to Liverpool. But nothing in that message said whether Liverpool want him. Yes, it is the Ziri Douay's brother. I believe it's his older brother, if I'm not mistaken, Leona. And I don't know much about him. Like, I wouldn't have watched much of Strasbourg or anything like that. Oh, cool. Sorry, I'm getting messages as we're live here, so I'm just reading through them. Okay. All I'm getting told here is that Guella Douay is a serious talent. This person also points to the fact that Lola mentioned it over on Anfield Index. So yeah, interesting. Let's wait and see if anything comes of it. Like if I get anything around the Liverpool side of it, I'll let you guys know when we next speak. Tony said Curtis Jones is another deluded prima donna. Get rid. Yeah, I won't lose a minute's sleep getting rid of him, mate. To be honest with you, I wouldn't. I don't really. What I'd say is I don't think he moves the needle either way. I've no problem with Curtis Jones staying, no problem whatsoever. But I also am going to lose a minute's sleep if he goes because I would happily give Trainee only his minutes right now. Peter said, I think we need to bring him in. It's going to be the same as every other window that we leave to deadline day. Yeah, look, this journalist that messaged me said they rate Doué's brother very, very highly. I just don't know much about him, to be honest. I remember, though, there was links to him and us going back towards the World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right in that? To say that these links to Doué aren't new links, that they've been there, gone back a while. I wonder why Chelsea aren't in from Chelsea and Strasbourg are owned by the same people. Well, if it's a right back, maybe they look at Reece James being there and there are other options and think they have enough. I can't really speak to why Chelsea would or wouldn't look at it. Sorry, another message coming in. Okay. Okay. Cool. Sorry, just reading those in real time, and again, just similar around the Doué stuff. One Rafa. Craig, window's starting to smell like a United one. It's starting to smell like many windows that we've had under FSG, which is loads of tickling of the balls and unfortunately blue balls by the end of it, and not enough excitement. So, firstly, mate, though, thank you for your 9 months as a member. We could have had a child together in that time, but yeah, appreciate you, man. So, does anybody have much on Doué that they want to talk about in the chat there or give a heads up on? Because I'm all ears on it. I don't know much about him. Chelsea signed Palestri. Wasn't he a left back though? Palestri wasn't he for the opposite side? Or am I wrong on that as well? I think he's a left wing back, but Gray said Doué would be very good. Doué makes too much sense, which is why we won't sign him, said Shea Trainer. We haven't had enough ticking this window, said Keno. This window's been poor and no help for the new manager. You think we've just walked the league by how they're acting? Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with 90% of the comments I see in the chat. Yeah, someone said Craig, he's 14. That's okay. I've had the snip, so nothing about that comment was actually happening. And again, I don't want to tell you how biology works, but two he's can't really produce what I was talking about. Definitely, that wasn't on my bingo card for today either. To be talking about the reproduction systems. There you go. Josh said, hey Craig, I used to work for Bezos' company. If he's investing in Liverpool, he wants to make money on his investment, and thank you for what you do here for hopefully a good season. Absolutely. Like, there will be part of it, Josh, that it's a trophy thing. And, you know, on the summer of the World Cup where so many people were around football and football's growing into such a big business, even more so, yeah, he'll want to make a return, and of course he will. But he'll also think he can add value in there, and I wouldn't be surprised at all to see some kind of synergy with some of his other businesses, and you know, opening up maybe. Again, I'm talking about maybe the Amazon delivery network, maybe something about web services, or I don't know, but I'm sure at the level that they're talking about there, yes, yeah, he's going to want the return, but he's also going to want it to be a success because he doesn't really want to be putting his name to stuff that isn't a success. Michael Devlin said, well, boss, I'm back again. What homegrown players would best suit Liverpool? If we get Barcola, I think can only sign that category of player. Well, we could only sign them if we don't deregister some others. Like, let's say Chiesa could be deregistered or sold. Ramsey the same. Costas the same. So there are some options, albeit some of them unpalatable. Wharton, you'd look at as homegrown. You had the idea there where we could have looked at Jed Spence, but he's now chatting with Inter Milan, and I think Inter Milan and Spurs are talking. Neco Williams is another one I'd like who could cover both sides. Yeah, that's kind of it really off the top of my head that I'm thinking about from homegrown. LFC Billy said, don't understand why people are getting worried about the Barcola deal. PSG are stacked with wingers. Dembele, Kvara, Doué, Barcola. You don't sign another 3 attackers unless 1 or 2 is leaving. Exactly. But I understand people's frustration that it isn't progressing. I totally get it. But you're right. Like, logically, look at it. Now, they could say they sold Kang In Lee. They could say that they sold Gonzalo Ramos. But you're right, bringing in Magnus Akliouche, bringing in Götze, looking at Ferran Torres, that's as well because they know that these guys are leaving. So, but it doesn't stop people feeling anxious, and I do understand that. Paro said, under FSG, the only good window we ever had, still an incomplete one, failed a Gay signing over a couple of million with snap or leg mid-season when Leone bust his ACL. People haven't got a clue. Yeah, exactly. And this is why I constantly call them out over investment. Right, what's this coming from? Okay, this is back on the 1st of August. So Tribal Football posted a piece on the 1st of August that said, PSG eye Strasbourg defender Guala Doué as Hakimi replacement. They go on to say, the 23-year-old remains under contract with Strasbourg until 2029, defender at around €20 million, 3 goals and 9 assists. So that's interesting. Sorry, I'm looking through some other things. Even his injury record thus far, he's missed, what, 6, 13, 14 games in total? Something like that, Doué. He's played 56 games at right back, 32 games at centre back, 8 games right midfield, defensive midfield, 3 games and 1 game at left back. So he certainly played all around the pitch. So, yeah, that would be funny if they were going up against PSG for a player PSG wanted. Mark said, Craig, if and Bezos comes in, we need to make sure he doesn't try to rename Anfield the Amazon Prime Stadium. I don't know. Personally, I wouldn't care. I'm just giving you my opinion. Like, if Liverpool got naming rights deals that's worth a shit ton of money to them over a X amount of time period, for me, go ahead and sell it because I'll still call it Anfield. It doesn't matter what they want to call it. It'll be Anfield to me and it'll always be Anfield. It's like St. James's Park. You know, they could try and call that the Sports Direct St. James's Park all they want. It's St. James's Park. So unless a stadium is built and initially has the sponsorship on board, like the Emirates, I think you're always just going to call it or think about it as you've always done. So I wouldn't have any issues with Liverpool selling the name and rights to the stadium. I'd still be calling it Anfield, but that's just my perspective. I can see why other people wouldn't like it. Emmanuel said, if Arsenal are really open to selling Lewis Skelly, he would be a great option, though I can see them selling to us. I don't know, mate. Look, they're open to something, or at least they're talking about it, because you've seen United linked, Chelsea linked, and a few others linked. It's the London Standard that keeps doing articles saying Bradley Barcola in danger of breaking down. Yeah, look, I've no concerns about it. What's this? So Indy Kayla, for what it's worth, has posted to say, our top source in London has confirmed via email, United met Crystal Palace this afternoon and talks have reopened regarding Adam Wharton and Liverpool also lurking. Also breaking from DiMarzio, with Fratese's departure, Inter will go close on signing of Jones from Liverpool. That's from DiMarzio. Now, that would add up, right? Because what did I open up the stream with tonight? I told you that Liverpool had David Woodfine and Julian Ward meeting with Curtis Jones' representatives and with McAllister's representatives, but I told you I didn't know why. And I didn't. So maybe that's it. Maybe they were looking to hash out a deal to take him to Inter Milan. It would make sense. And with Fratesi moving, yes, that maybe frees up a spot for them. So that's a positive development. Let's wait and see if that happens with it. Like, That's how I read that situation anyway. But, maybe you guys look at it differently. Focusing on Bezos but ignoring Bathia might actually be the one involved day to day. Look how QPR has done with him there. You're absolutely right that it would probably be Ahmed Bathia that does the day to day. I guess it depends how you look at his time at QPR. Some positives and some negatives, but yeah, Bezos won't have the time to really develop or give to this in the same extent, or Eduardo Saverin maybe. So yeah, you would have to imagine that the guy with the football experience would probably be the one dealing with the football stuff. Mr. A Santino, how are you today, my friend? Always a pleasure. What have I missed? Nothing earth shattering tonight, mate. It's really just more of a sounding off tonight. We're just having a chat and just working through some frustrations and stuff. As the evening has progressed, there's been some talk about Douay, not Desiree, his brother, at Strasbourg being of interest to Liverpool and going on strike. Then there's some talk about Wharton. Jones going to Inter Milan. There's a little bit about that as well. Lucy, so the goalposts get moved to suit whatever narrative the club wants to portray at the time. The fact that they're working on Barcola, this shouldn't slow down bidding for other vital signings. Absolutely. And respectfully to the club, I think they probably are working on some other stuff, but the thing that worries me more at this point isn't whether they're working on other stuff or not. It's the time and the time frame that we have until the season starts and the window closes. That's the biggest barrier at this point for me is the clock. Even though Maka had a tough season last season, we can't afford to lose another experienced player. Totally get where you're coming from, and I would expect that only way McAllister would leave is if Liverpool had somebody who they think can come right in. Maybe it is a Wharton, and again, I'm guessing, but you won't just sell McAllister and not replace him. You're just not going to get away with that. And squad wise, we couldn't get away with it. So Jones going, I don't think is going to dent us one way or the other. But Maka going, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. That's a far more high profile player, more experienced player, and better player. So I'm with you on that. You couldn't just sell him and not replace him. But I also don't want them to stay this season and not get a new deal, because then we're just walking into another Real Madrid headache from January onwards. With the insane valuation for Bacola, you can get Endrick 70, Kamara 40 and Spence 30 for literally less money combined. Why are we stuck on Barcola? Well, Endrick, I think, is staying at Madrid. At least that's what Romano said last night. Not that we were having a candlelit evening together or anything, but he posted it last night, and I think I still have it in my notes. Bear with me, because I don't like misquoting people. So yeah, last night Fabrizio Romano posted, say, Real Madrid informed Endrick and his agents about decision to keep the player at the club. Real management told Rock Nation about the decision and continue with him for the squad. Mourinho approved the plan. So in theory, I get where you're coming from. But I don't know if it's a money thing or just an availability thing. Like, I couldn't speak to why Liverpool aren't looking at others, but Barcola is the best option available to us. And at this point, I just want him. And after that, yes, I want more deals. But I don't know why they haven't looked at Spence seriously. Again, you can only imagine that there are balls in the air at the minute, and I just don't know what they are. But, clock's ticking and I'm getting nervous. Roshi said Barcola is not worth 145 million. We would never recoup that fee, so I don't mind if it falls through. However, the lack of strengthening elsewhere is mad. Well, I absolutely mind if it falls through, and I don't think it will, by the way. But I get you on the price. But again, if you're PSG in this, they've seen Diamonde go to Real Madrid for 135 million quid, euro. And he has feck all experience. They have somebody who's 23, won the Champions League twice, won the French division a few times, played at a World Cup. So honestly, I understand their valuation and wanting a top fee for him. But obviously, I also want Liverpool to go in and negotiate that down as much as they can. But anything, like, I can't even comprehend the idea of it not getting done, because then we might as well just go and hide in a bunker because we're fucked. But I do think it gets done, and that's why I keep reiterating that. Silver Bear said, I don't think Costas is half a bad player that you seem to think, Craig. Can I ask you why you think he's not good enough? Much love to you and your family. So there's a few ways that I look at it. Firstly, the eye test. I just don't think he's ever good enough. And then I go back to last summer when we made the decision to part ways with Costas, and we sent him to Roma, and we gave Roma an option to sell him or to buy him. So we were open to getting rid of him. And if Roma thought he was good enough, they could have triggered that and kept him. They didn't want to, and he couldn't break into their team. Add into that the fact that nobody here, I think, is going to think that Costas is better than Robbo, and Robbo's left. So the big gripe I have with it all is we've weakened ourselves with our backup left back. We either have to let him go for free next summer or give him a new deal, and I don't think he deserves a new deal. And he couldn't get into the Roma team. So honestly, I think, what's the counter argument to Costas that says he is good enough? You know, again, I'm not trying to have an argument with you, dude. I'm just explaining the thought process I have around it. Robbo was better. He's gone. We've weakened ourselves. He's got 1 year to go. If we give him a new deal, that is madness. And if we lose him for free in a year, that is madness. So the logical thing for me here is sell him. And look at the chat as well. I mean, I don't think this is just a me thing around Costas. We asked, what should we do with Costas? Sell him, new deal, or keep him and let him go for free next summer? And so far, it's pretty much one-sided. Stuart said, Barcola is done, Craig. When Mbaye bonuses are sorted, it'll be announced as a double deal. Like I've said, some people have said that to me. Some people think it isn't sorted out. I'm erring on the side of caution to say it'll happen, but it isn't sorted out yet. I absolutely hope that you and others are right and that it is agreed behind the scenes and that it will be, you know, a double unveiling. But I don't want to say that until I'm very confident in it. But I hope you're right, Stuart, and you're not the first person to say it to me, mate. So, yeah, I'm definitely hoping you're right. Lucy said there's just no excuses for them to leave deals this late as they do. Far too complacent for my liking. Grace said nobody will want him. He's dreadful. Like, it just comes down to those simple things for me, Grace. Roma couldn't keep him as a first team player. They didn't want to buy him. Liverpool were obviously already happy to say goodbye to him. And the last straw for me is, had Robbo, let Robbo go for free, fair enough. Costas is a downgrade. And nobody's going to change my mind on that. Paul said, devil's advocate, if we're willing to say that Kirkes may have a better year because of the new manager system tactics, why couldn't Costas play better also? Because unlike Kirkes, we have a bigger sample size with Costas, with different managers across different leagues at different levels and international football. So maybe he can get better, but then you're into the point of having to probably overpay to keep him because he's in the last year of his deal. And if he agrees a new deal now, he's going to want a signing on bonus. He's going to probably want a fairly hefty wage. And again, I just don't think there's value in that for Liverpool. So, look, I'm not saying I'm right at all. Like, I could be wrong on this. I'm just giving you how I feel. And, you know, that's how I feel. So, you know, obviously, if he stays, I hope he has a good season. I want Liverpool players to do the best that they can. But I'm going to find it very difficult to stomach another player going for free next summer if that's the case and he just walks out the door. We don't really have the depth to sell him right now, as I'm not convinced they'll bring in a replacement. Again, I totally understand that, and that's why I was calling for this exact same thing much earlier in the window as well. I feel like at this point he's staying. Like, I really, really don't think he's going to go at this point, and I've nothing to suggest he's going to go. It's just what I think should happen. And again, that's an overseas spot as well, taken up, you know. We asked last night, by the way, what should we do about Kumas and Chiesa? Which one should we keep? Which one should we sell? And people overwhelmingly wanted to keep Kumas for a varying host of reasons. Jamie said, I'm gutted that we appear to be loaning Kumas out this season. Could be a handy player. I'm with you, Jamie. I'd keep him. I've been really impressed with Kumas in pre-season, and I'd much rather give him the minutes than Chiesa. So I'm with you. He's homegrown. He really wants to work hard and play. I've liked what I've seen of him in pre-season. He's versatile. We've seen him in pre-season play on either flank and through the middle, or at least on the right flank and through the middle. So yeah, I'm definitely in the mindset of all the youngsters we've seen, he's one that I think could be kept around and used. Excuse me. Christian said, Craig, I can tell you, you're right. Thank you. I don't know what I'm right about, but I'll take it, mate. I'll take it. Why do we leave these things so late in the window? The answer is probably money. So it's probably about trying to leverage the best deal and a game of poker and brinksmanship. That's probably the answer. And it never ceases to amaze me that even though all clubs have a 13-week transfer window, a load of business gets shoehorned into the final couple of weeks of it. It's mad. Like, it is nuts, but... Craig, would you pay the €170 million for Ment both and Bay and Barcola? 100%. In a heartbeat. Like, if you want my guesstimation, I think you gave it to me in euros, so I'm going to give it back to you in euro. I think if you were to get both of them, I don't think you'd get them for €170 million. I think you're probably talking a bigger number than that. Not too much bigger, but 180, 185, somewhere around that. Like, what is it? Mbaye is 40 to 50 million euro as things stand. Barcola, that would bring him down to about 130 to 140 million euro. And that's probably about the level. Appreciate what you say, but how much do you think he could be sold for? I think he's decent enough to have as a squad player and his excellent crosses. Good question on the sale. 8 to 10, maybe, something like that. But of course, I'm guessing. And look, I appreciate your side of it as well, bro. Like, there's nothing to say I'm right and you're wrong. It is just my view, whether it is right or wrong. You're right about his crosses. He certainly knows how to put them in. There's just, I've always found his defending a bit too over eager. And I find with Costas, he tends to jump in quite a bit. And if he gets in early and wins the ball, that's great. But if he gets in and misses it, they're in behind. And that's happened a few times and it worries me. What's this one? Still more waffle about PSG and Ferran Torres and the same €55 million we were talking about last night and the same closeness to it. But yeah, sorry, someone just sent me something on that and it's pretty much just as we were. Ushin said, Craig, I'm going to the Liverpool Como game. It'll be my first time at Anfield. Do you think Araujo will play? Yeah, I think he'll see Araujo. Once his work permit stuff's cleared up at that point, then he can, you'd want to see him training soon because he can't train with the first team yet, I don't think, because he hasn't got his work permit. So once that's sorted out, yeah, you'd see him get some minutes in that game anyway. Paro said, would you extend Virgil for another year, Craig? With how our young centre-back depth is worrying. We've enough experience if we let Gertz go for free. I think it could be smart. I don't know is the honest answer. Because ultimately at some point, whether it is next summer or whether you extend him, at some point you have to replace him. And I think at the point where he'll be 37... probably no extension. I'd rather go get Schlotterbeck and bring in the next defensive leader. It's a dangerous game to get into, and especially with it needing pace on a high line. I don't know. I just don't know about another extension for Virgil. I think it could be problematic. Lucy said, I can't get away with Hughes. I want a sporting director who gives a shit and who's in for the long haul. Off topic, the one team still suffering the aftermath of slot ball with a lack of fitness. What else we got? Do you think they'll keep Will Wright? Oh, that's a really good one. Will Wright. Oh God, I don't know. I could understand the logic of keeping him with the 21s, but I think more regular game time at a higher level would be more suited. So I'd probably loan Will Wright out, in all honesty, unless Liverpool think that he could be utilised in a pinch with the first team. But if the options are under 21s or a loan, I think a loan should be the way to go. Because what I like about Will Wright in pre-season was I love his physicality. And he almost seemed like a bit of an old school centre forward, that he was climbing on the backs of defenders and putting himself about a bit. So I liked it. And I don't think he's all that far away. So a good loan somewhere, I think, could do him wonders. Where are we at? Will Wright can go really fast. I'd read Dinosaur Mother. Yeah, look, I've been impressed with him and what we've seen in pre-season. Like, not saying he's ready to go into the first team, but, I can see why we signed him. What's the news? Apparently, we might walk away from the Barcola deal. Yeah, I'm not saying that. So for me, I can't back that up because I don't think it's right. And look, there's going to be a lot of scaremongering. So if you want to bite on it and feel worried about it, go ahead. But I don't know that to be the case, nor do I believe it's right. So that's all I can say. Do you see Virgil taking a lesser role under the new coach? No, not at all. No, I think Virgil's really important to the team. He's the captain, he's the leader. So, no, I don't think he's going to have a lesser role this year. I think the question just comes about the natural end of his time then when his contract's up. Do you extend? And, like, if he was 34, I'd be saying, yeah, give him another year or two. But, like, what will he be, 36, 37 at that point? That's getting on, like, even for a centre-back. Lucy said, Craig, I'll be so chuffed if they get us a right winger, another attacker, and a left back before the window closes. All this lack of business takes the absolute shine off everything. It does for me as well, Lucy, but it frustrates me more so because we know who's going to get the flack for the season maybe not going the way it should be. It'll come back on the manager, and I don't think that's going to be fair because he's not been given what he needs to do his job. So looking at it logically, a couple of things to talk about. One, he's coming into a new environment where he's going to have 2 games a week for most of the season. So we know he's going to play a higher intensity football than the previous manager. So none of that means a smaller squad is going to make sense. He's going to need more players. He's going to need robust players, and he's going to need the ability to rotate or will be burnt out. And he's not been given those... he's not been given that support by the club, and that really, really angers me because it's just not giving him the platform to go and do the best that he can do. Sorry to go on about letting him go for free. 10 million based on other much higher profile players like Trent and Mo. Keep for the season as a backup. Look, I think Silver Bear, bro, we're just going to have to respectfully agree to disagree on this one, mate. Because for what it's worth, I think he's staying. So, sorry, I've got something in my eye here. For what it's worth, I think he's staying. So I don't think it's going to be a conversation about him going anyway. I think the real conversation here will be, does he go for free next year or does he get a new deal? James said, I can see the Kwanzaa buyback being triggered next summer and him coming in alongside Jacque and Leone. I guess who goes to the left would be my initial question there. It is an option for Liverpool, of course, I think it's about 60 million euro next summer. But, at this point, I don't know what way that goes, and I don't know if Liverpool look to trigger it or not. I'm maybe putting a bit too much hope in what that ITK Space account said earlier on in the summer, or even recently, that Liverpool had initially wanted to bring in Schlotterbeck, but his injury put paid to that, and maybe then that's why we pivoted into a solution like Araujo in the short term. And if that's the case, absolutely no problem with it. Craig, which positions would you be happy with if Liverpool FC cover them before the transfer market closes? Same as everybody, I want a DM. So, I want that position sorted out. Whether it's Maka going and somebody else coming in, or whether it's just bringing somebody in to play the position how the manager wants it. We need another fullback. Up top, I'm relaxed about it. Once Barcola gets done, I'm fine if nothing else happens up top after that, because I think we can cope until Ekitike gets back. And I've never been one to want us to sign a centre forward for a 5-6 month problem. I think we could find solutions from within for that if needs be. But I also wouldn't be upset if Barcola and Mbaye came in and Gakpo left. I would understand that as well. Endo might be playing a lot more minutes at centre back. No, exact opposite. Endo's being shopped around at the minute, and clubs have been told that he's available. So, that we covered this one, I think, late last night. Let me see if I still have it here in my notes for you. Where was the stuff around Wataru? Sorry, I'm just checking back on a few things from my notes. Not in that one. Was it in this one? No, I may have deleted it, Yeah. Oh, no, it's here. Peter Rourke said Liverpool are open to offers for Wataru Endo before the close of the window and have made clubs aware of his availability. So certainly doesn't seem like the club are planning to utilise him at centre back. I doubt any club wants to buy Endo. And why though? Like I'm just chatting with you here, but why? Endo's a model pro. And maybe he's not at the level for Liverpool at this moment, but I certainly think there are many clubs in many leagues that could do a lot worse than Endo. Maybe it's a move back to Germany, maybe Italy, but I think Endo still has something to offer. And again, is a model professional, so he's going to be great in and around the training ground as well. Excuse me. Derek said, we're going backwards with the amount of players going to leave next season. Feel bad for the manager. He could end up leaving. It's ridiculous, isn't it? But, I remember when Hughes came into the job, one of the things that everyone talked about was that his inbox was to sort out Salah and Virgil's contracts. And then as his tenure at the club came by, more and more players start getting into these awkward contract positions. Canade left for free. Trent left pretty much for free. Jones is going to get minimum fee for. We got minimum for Kelleher because of 1 year to go. And it's happening over and over and over again. And you're absolutely right, mate. There's no way next summer when we see these players go, we're going to get the same amount back in, or the same amount are going to progress through from the under-21s. It's all fanciful and it's all a future headache. But if your sporting director's pissing off, you got to ask, does he really give a shit? But others at the club should, obviously. Jacob Andrews said the fact that Hughes is still in the job currently is shocking when he's been completing deals for his next employer. It's mental, isn't it? Like, to read that he's working on potential deals for Diaz and Al Hilal, even though it's just media talk, it just doesn't even feel right to read it. Grim Reaper said, love Costas, but his football skills just isn't up to Liverpool quality. Personally, I'd only use him in earlier cup games, back up for Kirkes. So on a personal level and from a fan perspective, I think Costas is great. I've only ever had people who've met him say positive things, say he's really friendly, say he's a lovely guy. People I know who work at the club say he's always in good form as well. So it's definitely nothing other than a sporting aspect from me about Costas, because he looks like a top lad. Right, I'm going to go and read through, because I have about 10 messages in my WhatsApp that I need to check through. I'm going to stick out a video before 11. So give me a few minutes to get through these WhatsApp messages and see what I can figure out. And then we'll talk about Douay in the video and a few other bits and pieces. So I'll see you back here. Well, I won't see you back here, but I should have something out before 11. And tomorrow, Connor's back in the morning. So I want to say a little thank you to Lewis for all of his great work and help while Connor's been away. And of course, Lewis will still be putting out content on Anfield Agenda Extra. We also have Anfield Agenda Clips, which is a new one that we've launched. I think it's just over 1,000 subscribers. So do check out that one. And also the WhatsApp. I keep reminding people about this because this is where you're going to get the information first from us if we get it. So if you want to join the WhatsApp, all you have to do is scan that QR code. It's open to absolutely everybody. And we'll be launching our new giveaway for August in there as well, with thanks to our friends at the Collector's Corner. This month, we're going to be giving away a signed and framed John Barnes shirt. So keep an eye out for that. And we'll announce the winner of last month's giveaway as well. So I hope to see you guys in there, because I really do think it's a great way for us all to keep in touch. And again, thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you can hit that like button before you head off, really would appreciate it. And if not, sure, I hope to see you tomorrow, but I'm not sure of my scheduling yet for tomorrow night. I probably will be here, but just I can't say for certain at the minute. So look, thank you all again for another great stream. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for the kind words, and fingers crossed.